Hey everybody, my name is Liam. I am the Warlock Phosphoros, and this is the story of Catalyst. Ever since I was little, I remember just having a really strong sense of purpose, a connection to something. The experience of life. I was just overwhelmed with curiosity and joy in the possibilities. And when I found out that, when I realized I was going to die, I had to come to the question of, well, what am I going to do while I'm here? If I only have so much time here, how am I going to use it? So I just grew up with all of this energy and enthusiasm, and I didn't know where to put it. I didn't know where I should focus my energies, and it didn't really feel like I was getting the answers that I needed, or being with people that I could connect with around this. And even when I get to school, I was going to the school of my dreams, and I thought that once I was there, once I'd done what I needed to do to get the grades to go to the right school, that I would have everything I need, that I would be set, that I'd be taken care of. And that didn't happen. I wound up with this sense of really profound uncertainty and dissatisfaction, and just still had no idea who I wanted to be or what I was going to do with my life, and continuing to chase anything that gave me a feeling beyond the norm, or the mundane and the everyday. And in high school, it started with drinking too much, or just getting really just investing myself way too much into relationships. But as I started to experiment with entheogens and meditation, and started to learn about Buddhism and Taoism, and meet with people and have experiences that expanded my mind and changed my perception, and I felt like I was starting to uncover a way for me to live my life that is fulfilling and rewarding. And I mean, my life was never the same since, especially one day in particular in October 2013 that I spent with one of my friends. I didn't expect to get this emotional. On this day, I had an experience of such powerful, transformative clarity, and what I felt understanding of both situations and factors within my own life, and things on a greater scale. And I realized for the first time just how profoundly unhappy most people are. Even people who, they seem to be doing well, they seem to have everything figured out, and yet underneath there is just this emptiness. And some people can go their whole lives without really confronting that, and it was something I never really had the option to avoid, and I'm grateful for that. I mean, it hasn't been simple, but I wouldn't be who I am now if it wasn't for that. At the same time, realizing how much suffering and exploitation there really is, and just really for the first time getting a grasp on that, and beginning to empathize with that suffering, and try to really come to grips with what's going on both within me and in the world around me, and what everyone is going through, and everything with the environment and with the planet, and seeing the destruction of nature and people's ways of life. at the same time, I was just beginning to understand what I could do, and just both the joy and the ecstasy of living in the moment and the power of realizing what I'm capable of when my mind is free of artificial limitations and barriers, and I'm able to focus and work towards something confidently. Even just the slightest knowledge, just the slightest peek behind the curtain completely changed my life and my outlook on everything, and gave me experiences. I had experiences I didn't think were possible. I thought were outside the realm of possibility. But when this happened, it completely like it was earth-shattering, because I had this realization, like anything is possible. I'm not stuck in this world where everything is predictable and everything stays the same and we don't have the power to change anything. That's not the case. This world that we find ourselves in is more strange and beautiful and terrible than we even begin to realize. And when we look inward and when we begin to try to understand our relationship to our experience into this world, and we have these experiences, they open our eyes, they change our perspectives. It gave me the power not just to change my own life, but a vision for a better world and how we could do it together by the limitations in our own thinking, and by the systemic persecution of anyone who fought outside the box. A lot of what is most important, what is most fundamental to our experience, has been left behind, and we're just left with a shell. And it makes me so fucking sad. And I decided that I had to do something about it. I didn't know what, I didn't know how, but we were going to do this because we had to, and I dedicated my life to raising that consciousness, to bringing about that change. So my goal, the center of my efforts, what was being illuminated to me at this time, was that we needed to create a way to take all of the core experience that these mystical and spiritual traditions have been built upon, that is so valuable and has the potential to revolutionize our world, that a lot of that has been lost in dogma and these structures, and a lot of it's just not been updated to our modern way of life. And so that led me to the conclusion that I want to create a platform, a network, an interface to connect us to that truth, to our innermost selves and our highest potential, to do it as effectively as possible, to weave seamlessly into our lives, to give us so much satisfaction, and to be the most high-tech, flexible, syncretic, best of all worlds, that's open and allows people to express themselves and develop themselves, and not just show their personality or provide kind of the image of who they are to the world, but discover who that is and live that through what we're doing. So that was my goal, to bring the heart of mystical, occult, and spiritual knowledge into its highest manifestation with currently available technology, and do it in a way that engages us on every level possible and brings forward the transformation, not only that will give us the most valuable, powerful, transformative experience and fulfilling life, but will precipitate these larger changes on a macro level through the cumulative effect of each of us going through this transformation individually, and the new systems that will come about through the raised consciousness of all of us on a higher level. So how was I going to do this? Well, I was figuring out. I continued to work my way through school. I began to religiously study Buddhism, Taoism, the Western esoteric tradition, metaprogramming, chaos magic, anything, hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, anything that whet my appetite for the transformative potential of us and in our interplay with experience and with our own subjectivity, and began to study how to engage altered states of consciousness and use magic. As I was doing this, it was, I had spent most of my life going to school. At this point, pretty much all of it. And this is seriously the most nerded out I've got about anything. I began reading lots of books in my spare time in addition to my coursework, highlighting things, going back, making notes, actually going back and doing the practices that they had in them. I even designed an independent study course called Magic, Mysticism, and Esoterica that was a lot of fun. I began to sort of work upon a synthesis of these different styles and different practices, different ritual traditions, and different modalities. Because for me, it was always about working with all of them in service of this greater goal. And I was teaching myself about what the thing was going to be as I was doing it, but anything could be done in service of the thing. But I still had to remember to enjoy myself while I'm at it, because it can be kind of hard. As I was continuing to grow my practice, I began to notice that there's a reason why not many people are into this stuff. Is because it's kind of, you don't really hear, I didn't really hear about it until I was already in college, and it's kind of, it's not really studied in any of the university or any of the other systems, not the mechanics of it. And it's kind of, it's called the occult for a reason. As they talk about being hidden knowledge, and for a lot of time it's been persecuted. So it makes a lot of sense that this stuff was kind of hard to stumble upon. And then once you get into it, it requires a lot of practice and changing your mindset. A lot of this stuff won't be clear when you first read it. It requires a lot of not just study, but practice. So actually going through and reading the books and finding the practical bits that you can train from it, and putting that into actually getting that down and putting that into practice and doing it on a regular routine was really difficult and took a lot of effort. And I found that it wasn't always easy to stay engaged because I had a lot going on. It was easy to kind of flit off to the next thing, and it was so much easier just to continue on reading instead of engaging. And due to due to the way that we're trained in our society is consume. So I was like, wow, there's a lot of friction here that I don't think needs to be there, which is when the app started coming into focus. So as I was doing this, my brain was starting to get cracking. It's like, well, what if all of this information was in one place? It was an app, it's easily searchable, indexable, and the practices, are right out in the forefront. And instead of just being able to read them, it's all connected with your journal, with your record keeping, and you are actually logging that you're doing it. I began to conceptualize the app as it was. I was just at the beginning stages. I knew that that's kind of how I wanted to go, and I also always had, I grew up with this strong love for video games. Growing up, that was the main thing that I was enthusiastic about, was playing video games. I would go away any second that I could, especially the Nintendo games. I would play them all the time, and the idea even before gamification was really a trend. I always kind of want to include I didn't even say that I wanted to just include those elements. I said I want the experience of it to be a game itself. I wanted the experience of perfecting a craft, perfecting an art, whether it's an art or something like occultism, which is what I originally designed it for. But I always wanted to keep it open because I thought it could have so much broader implications than just what I could imagine. Anyway, I am getting ahead of myself. So I wanted to make the experience of perfecting that Just like if you were playing a D&D campaign and you were growing as a magic user and you were defeating enemies, or if you were like grinding through an RPG game, you level up, you gain new skills, you gain new powers, your abilities are improved through the effort, focus, and will that you put into the action. And that I wanted to be reflected and rendered in a way that allows you to lose yourself in the experience and put yourself in these characters, and not in a way that is manipulative, but in a way that is consensual and is constructive, and to put that resource towards your own transformation. And I mean, that's for me, that was always a thrilling thing, seeing yourself in these characters, but you know, with your innate powers and talents manifest and actually experienced in the world, and actually going towards something greater than ourselves. I just thought that idea had so much power that I fixated on it. There's lots of stuff going on down here in the basement. Oh yeah. So as the vision started to coalesce, and I became more and more set on, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't care what I have to do to get there. And in the meantime, I'm gonna bide my time. I'd graduated from school. I had taken an office job up here in the Midwest. And I was going to continue to research and practice and begin to take steps to move myself closer to manifesting this vision. And it grew stronger all the time, and eventually it came to the point where I said, I can't stay here, I can't continue to do this, I need to completely devote myself vocationally to what I'm doing. I had decided that I was going to quit my job, and that I was going to do a coding boot camp, and I was going to fully commit to this. The vision of what I was doing as a software company, as a startup, came into my head. I imagined myself as a CEO. I racked my brain for names. The original name I had was Guru, because I kind of thought of it as being this being that brings us closer to this evolved version of ourselves and allows us to actualize our experience and transform our reality. But yeah, I had decided against that name a while ago, and the new name that came to me as I was racking my brain weeks after weeks over it is Catalyst. It's just, I could not, and still cannot think of a better name for what I am trying to build. I want it to be the spark that transforms our experience, how we are living our lives, our society, and allows us to achieve our highest levels of consciousness, or our highest levels of power, to alleviate suffering, to overcome the injustices that are in the world. With this new inspiration, with this new vision, with this new idea of what I could do, not just by myself, but as a team, dedicated to bringing whatever the thing is, whatever form it takes, because it's going to continue to evolve, this thing into the world that actualizes that experience for everyone in a way that gives them the most freedom and joy and power as possible. That's what I was going to do. So I finished the boot camp. I continue to hack away. My parents agreed to let me stay in their house in West Virginia while I worked on this, and I didn't have a job. So I hacked away. I taught myself new frameworks, new platforms as I was learning them. Anyway, I went through 5 iterations. The third one I spent several months on, and I did take a lot of the code from it for the current one that I am using. Fast forward to the beginning of this year. I have just begun work on the current iteration of Catalyst, the one I promised that I knew would be the one that I would release, that would be the thing that turned into what it was fully fledged going to be. And I've been well on my way to that when I happened to stumble upon YouTube. Actually, I mean, I've been watching YouTube for a long time, but I happened to stumble upon ContraPoints, and then people like Sean and Three Arrows, and then people like Peter Coffin and Angie Speaks, and begin to see the world through this new radical lens, and begin to fully contextualize the systemic causes and the way that the world is, and the kinds of action that we need to take to deal with it, and begin to engage in politics, in particular leftist politics, a lot more deeply. It completely changed the way that I conceptualized my world and Catalyst, and how both Catalyst as an organization and as a thing, as a living presence. I'd already been doing some reading on organizational theory, which is a topic I'm going to cover in a future video. So I already knew I was going to have a democratic workplace where everyone has autonomy and all that. But I began to envision what we were doing not just as an organization that is doing something that exists within the organization, within the framework of capitalism, that is doing something that is going to raise consciousness and make the world a better place, but realizing that fundamentally the way that we do things and the way that we operate and the way that we organize and everything that we do is really going to be built around this revolutionary purpose, where we're all coming together for this shared goal, this shared purpose of bringing about the change that we want to see in the world, dismantling systems of oppression, healing suffering, and creating a new world where all of us have all of our material and subjective needs met, and we're able to live with joy and fulfillment. And I 100% believe that the way that we're going to create Catalyst, that the way that we're going to change in the world is by each of us coming together, and by doing this work, we're able to come to a better understanding of ourselves. We're each able to bring our own unique perspective and our skills and our experience to this. And through conversation, through understanding with each other, we're able to create this change, to build this thing, to bring joy into people's lives, to heal suffering and destroy oppression. I want Catalyst to be something that enables us to do that to the best of our ability. And I want to be a continuous cycle where through this transformational experience we're able to create something, and then it's able to allow us to better do that. I fundamentally believe that technology should be there to serve our highest realization, to allow us to achieve better and better life for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for everyone in the world, to be able to realize that we are a part of nature, and that we can live together, and that we are stronger together, and we can create systems that allow us to all have everything that we need, and to care for each other, and to live lives that bring us joy and fulfillment. This is also the inspiration for the Temple 888, which I distinguish from Catalyst, because I view Catalyst as a technology and something that belongs to all of us. And I believe that 888 is that living presence, that living work, the essence of our collective effort directed toward these revolutionary goals. Now, there are lots of other things that we probably want to do in our lives that don't necessarily have to do with our revolutionary aims, and that's totally fine. And Catalyst should be able to accommodate anything that brings us more joy and fulfillment and alleviates harm and suffering in the world. I'm not going to tolerate any of that fash bullshit around here, though. Fuck that shit. Do no harm, take no shit. 100%. We will not let that happen here. Everyone will be taken care of. This will be a community where we all feel safe, and we all want the best for each other and feel safe to be ourselves. and to be in that vulnerable place, because that's where we can grow, to be able to work together and to create something greater than any of us could have done individually, to have access to all of the best knowledge and information, and to be able to learn from each other as we're living in the moment, so that it's not just each of us with this solitary practice, our own experience, but it's all of us coming together to learn from each other, while at the same time learning from our own experience. Full circled yet? I've full circled myself again. So now we've come to the current moment, to the here and now, where a version of Catalyst is out right now at the Catalyst.app. It's pretty basic, but you can log your practice in it. You can share your practices with other people. There's some room to play around with it. There's fun little like practice enhancements I've thrown in there, such as a pranayama visualization timer and a dream machine, which uses strobing lights to sync up your brainwaves to frequencies for deepening meditation and creating altered states. So that's out there. We're able to use it right now. I've been wanting to make this video for years. I'm finally coming out with the show. The 888 has just begun. I've started working on rituals. My last video was the first of the video rituals that I've done, which is like a video adaptation of some of the rituals for the temple. So at this point, I want to bring people together. We've been having brick and mortar parties / group ritual, collaborative group rituals here, which we're going to do another one in July, and I want to do a video built around that as well. So I'm really excited about that, because there was some magic of a kind I hadn't experienced ever before in those moments where we were all here. So I'm excited to share that with you. I'm excited to deepen that as we go deeper into it, and we start to build a culture, and we start to build a movement built on our deepest truths, and by this deep work and creating art and experiencing joy and having fun and living lives and finding out who we are together. Whew! And I've just started these videos, and I'm just now starting the podcast, and I've just got on Twitter, and I'm just at this point now where I want to talk to people. I want to broaden understanding. I want to work together. I want to bring the best parts of what all of we're doing and combine them in a way that makes us unstoppable. I think that we can do a lot in just a little bit of time if we take what we've done and we come together and we work and we learn from each other and we experiment and we play. And that's the kind of thing I want to expedite. That I want to lower the activation energy on this kind of thing happening, because I believe that it is a chain reaction. The more that we do this, the more that we will grow stronger, the more that we'll be able to, and so on. And I believe that's true for each of us, as well as our organizations, as well as our movement and our revolution in general. And so now what I want to do, I want to have these conversations. I want to see where we can go next, where we want to go with the app, with the game, which the game is still very much, it's coming together. It's coming together piece by piece. I have ideas, but they're still yet to be fleshed out into something that is workable. So that's something I definitely want to work with people. So to get in touch with me if that's something that sounds interesting to you. I want to come together and build something, build worker-owned, autonomous, decentralized, democratic organizations around the 888 and around Catalyst. So yeah. That's about where I am. I feel like this is just getting started. I am still a broke freaking delivery driver, driving part-time on the driving app. I am going to do whatever I can with whatever I can, and I believe that once we get people working on this and start getting some momentum, we are going to do great things. We are going to really create something awesome and build a movement that will change the world. And I think we're gonna have so much fun doing it. And I think all of us are capable of things beyond what we dreamed of. And I'm so excited to tap into it. That's what I really want to see shine through from everyone. And that's what all the work that we do on this channel is about. I'm very enthusiastic. And I am Phosphoros. This has been a lot of fun. I am so glad to get to share everything with you about the work that I'm doing with Catalyst and 888, and I would love to work with you to have conversations about this. Please hit me up on Twitter, shoot me an email. I want to be having more conversations about this and just continue to grow, to move deeper into the work. So if you're interested in any collaboration, working on maybe doing a podcast, just drop me a line and I will get back to you. So I think that's it. This is going to be my biggest effort, my biggest production to date, but I think it deserved it. This is really important to me. It's fundamental to who I am and everything that I'm doing. And this I could talk about this all day. So I just wanted to kind of lay out there in simplest terms possible what I'm working on, what I'm trying to do, and send the call out there to any others who are working on things that are similar and who are commonly motivated to jump in there with me and build something great together. Thank you so much. This has been the Warlock Phosphoros. You all are amazing. I love you. I will see you next time. I'm going to keep working on Catalyst, going to keep hacking away. But that's all the time we have for tonight. Take care. And, thank you. I'll see you next time. All the best.